not really quite sure where to start with this one. Um, I have a really good moonshine recipe, and I made a big batch of it for my wedding. It was a big hit. Everybody loved it. Apple pie flavored moonshine. Tastes like candy, and it was dangerous. Before you knew it, you were pretty hammered. Uh, every year, there's a reunion for wrestlers, and fans could go to. It's called the Cauliflower Alley Club. Cauliflower Alley Reunion Club. They have it in Vegas every year. And I used to go. I went like 2-3 times. And this one time I was thinking, I got to get my moonshine to this thing. And it's a really cool 3-day event. There's classes you could take if you want to improve your ability, if you're a wrestler. There's guys, old timers, that you watch growing up wrestling. Just they're there, and they're telling stories of the baloney blowout, the cribbage tournament, bowling tournament. I had Ross Hart on my team. He's a good bowler. It's just a fun time, and there's a big banquet dinner and an awards ceremony, presentation stuff. I'm like, I got to get my moonshine to the big banquet awards ceremony dinner thing. So you're probably asking yourself, all right, how did Uncle Jay bring moonshine to Vegas? Well, you can't do it on an airplane. You can't check in a bunch of moonshine and say, oh, I'm checking in this luggage. What if they find it? Because they do scan that shit. So how did I get it to Vegas? I shipped it. I shipped it 2 days before my flight, and it arrived at the bell desk. And when I got to the hotel, I said, I believe you guys have a package for me. Showed them my ID. Here you go, sir. Took the box up to my room, opened it up. There it was. And if you're thinking that I gave Scott Hall some of my apple pie moonshine, you're wrong. I didn't do that, and I would have never done that, ever. Ever. Terry Funk, on the other hand, absolutely. That's a whole other story. And if anybody from that was there that weekend or whatever, I learned my lesson. And I'm never going to bring that stuff up there again. So please don't ban me from future events, because I'd love to attend and see everybody once again. But yeah, I'm never going to bring apple pie moonshine again. It even got to the table where the Japanese wrestlers were, the girls. And they went on Japanese Instagram or Twitter or whatever, took a picture of it, and it said American sake on it. The moonshine was a hit. And I believe that was the weekend where Diamond Dallas Page was giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to Jake the Snake Roberts. And the stories that he told up on the podium there was just great. Is such a great night. And there's all kinds of stuff also. There's wrestling matches going there all 3 days. But the big one is the big battle royal at the end, to which I was a part of. I usually that's the fun I have. That's the only thing I do there. And so I'm in the hallway, and there's like 50 people in this battle royal, maybe more. And I'm just in line, just shooting the shit with the guys and stuff, waiting for you hear the action outside and stuff. And I don't know if it's Billy Blade or somebody in the gorilla saying, "All right, number 32, you go, come on out," and then because they had the timer, it was counting down and everything. And I remember somebody put their hand on my shoulder, and I turned, and no shit, there he was. It was Scott Hall. He smiled, looked me in the eye, and extended his hand and said, "Brother," and I shook it. I was like, holy shit. And then he just patted me on the shoulder again, walked off and talked to some other people. And at that point, I'm like, fuck. I got knocked out by Roddy Piper. I just shook Scott Hall's hand. I got Terry Funk shit-faced in Vegas. And went bowling with one of the Hearts. I think I could probably hang up the boots now. It doesn't get any better than this. But it did. You know, when my number was called, you know, I had this drunken Scottish gimmick. I wore the kilt and everything, and I had my shirt, Whiskey Dick McIntosh, at least my finisher stiff. And I'd come out with a flask, and I was like, oh, fuck off, you bastards, you know. And when I came stumbling out past the curtains, I was like trying to fight him and stuff. And then there's some steps, and I tripped over the steps, took a bump, and Lethal Logan X and Karen, like, they're in the crowd, they're sitting there just watching, they're pretty close, and they're laughing and stuff. And then I heard this booming laughter going, and I just laid there like forever, and the next guy went past me, and the next guy went past me. I act like I passed out, and then I'd get up and just go back down, and then I heard the guy laughing again. And when I got up to get in the ring, I kind of looked over, and there's Jake the Snake Roberts sitting behind those guys, and he was just howling laughing. I'm like, okay, this is freaking incredible. Like, he generally thought it was funny. And every year when I go in the Battle Royal, I always try and get Richie Slade to throw me out. Sam Houston threw me out one year, and this, like, all right, I got to get Richie Slade to throw me out the rest. Like, we're trying to make that a tradition. So, anyway. I remember the first time I saw Scott Hall wrestle. He wrestled as Razor Ramon back in the WWF days. And I always thought that he had an incredible gimmick. His snappy, fluid right-hand punches were just freaking great. Moved well. Great on the mic. And I'm like, man, this guy's going to go far. And he did. And I remember, like, back in those days, they had a lot of the big names wrestled guys you never heard of before. And none of them ever won. I mean, they got but Barry Horowitz and Iron Mike Sharp. You'd see those guys regularly. And they never won. And I root for those guys. I'm like, fuck, when's your day going to come, man? But it'd be like John Smith versus Bam Bam Bigelow. It's like, all right, well, it doesn't look like John Smith's going to win. And I just sit there. I'm like, all right, well, I'll watch this, whatever, you know. And because, you know, you want to watch the semi-main and main. Like, these were just like mid-card matches or whatever. And there was a young guy that came out to the ring. I'm like, oh, this kid's going to lose. And then introducing his opponent, Razor Ramon. And he came, he came out and he had a toothpick and everything. And Chico. And came out to the ring. I'm like, oh, this kid's going to get killed. Razor Ramon's like twice his size. And of course, like, he just started just beating on him and getting him in moves and just like a cat playing with a mouse. Well, all of a sudden, it was such a great story. Razor Ramon got cocky. The kid hit him. Ramon went down. He got up on the top rope, did this crazy move up in the air, hit him with it, grabbed the leg. It was a fast count. 1, 2, 3. And the kid hauled ass out of there in shock. And that was X-Pac. He was the 1, 2, 3 kid. And I look at, you know, after I got into the wrestling business and stuff, it's like knowing what I know, I'm like, that was really cool for Scott Hall to put over such a young guy like that, a small guy. And I thought that was really, really professional, a really cool thing to do. I mean, he was riding the wave. He was up there, you know. I don't know if he was pressured to do it. I don't think that he was. I mean, I don't know. But I just thought it was a cool thing to do. And it was such a great match. And Razor Ramon kept wrestling and stuff, and they had like a little feud and everything, and it was great. And then he was gone for a bit, and then all of a sudden, the Monday Night War started with Ravishing Rick Rude, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. I remember watching WCW, watching Scott Hall go over the barricade wearing his jeans and everything, and he grabs the mic. I'm like, what the fuck is Razor Ramon doing here? And that changed wrestling forever that night. And then you had the NWO, and just what an incredible career he had with WCW as well. And then when that was all over, Vince won the Monday Night Wars, and then they had the invasion angle, and WrestleMania X8 18, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Scott Hall. And I'd seen, we've all seen Steve Austin give thousands of stunners to people. Go back and watch the end of that match. I don't think anybody has taken a stunner quite like Scott Hall. Austin hit him with it, and he goes up, and he's kind of like, he's dazed, and he's like, just kind of like that. Then Austin hit him again, and Scott Hall went flying backwards, like in the air, like suspended in the air, and then all of a sudden, boom, he hit, and I'm like, holy shit, he made that look like gold. That was incredible. Nobody took a stunner like Scott Hall. That was amazing to watch. And then after that, I hear things on the internet that, he's fighting an addiction problem, not doing good. And I'm like, man, that's really sad. It's sad that there's so many professional wrestlers that when their time's up, in the big show like that, sometimes their lives aren't that good, And it was really sad to hear what happened to Scott Hall. But then the most incredible thing happened, a miracle happened. Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, called him up and brought him out to his place and literally saved his life. And that is when I felt his hand on my shoulder, and I looked him in the eye, and he called me brother. He was as sober as can be, big smile on his face, and that was the last time I got in a wrestling ring. Yeah, that was a while back, but and when I heard that he passed away, when Piper passed away, Cincinnati Red, every time I hear somebody like that I really admire would pass away, a little piece of me does too, and it sucks. But he lived an incredible life. I wish his family well. He's a good dude, hell of a wrestler, and his legacy will always live on. So, sorry this is a sad story, but I felt like I wanted to tell you guys about the day that I met Scott Hall. And he's a good dude.